It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step two. Step two. Okay, anyways. What's going on? If this is your first time here on this channel, please like, subscribe, and also share because I need to grow this channel because this is the year I become a millionaire. Uh, I'm gonna adopt my one of my besties philosophies on that. But anyways, I know it's been a long time. We never wrapped up our chat about Diddy, which Diddy is just a vile human being and he's exactly where he needs to be. In my place of employment or in the career that I'm in, the end of the year is the busiest time of year. And pretty much I've just been coming home, walking my dog, and getting into bed. Yesterday, hey there. Yesterday, I celebrated my 49th birthday, and it wasn't much of a celebration. It was more of, I need to rest, okay? I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I pretty much did nothing. Even my dog was upset with me because we did not go for our morning walk. I was like, it's my day. I don't want to do anything. Don't. But she did get a car ride though, because for some reason I just have to have hot cakes and sausage. That's my thing on my birthday. Don't ask. But then I came home, y'all, and had the hotcakes and sausage along with this maple vanilla espresso that I picked up from Total Wine. Yeah, it don't take much. I was knocked out for the rest of the day. But like I told people, I said engaged in what we call bed rotting. Once you get to a certain age and you just want to check out on reality, now if you're doing it every day and yeah, that's depression. But just taking time out for yourself and not doing anything is perfectly fine. It's normal, it's healthy. So anyway, so yeah, celebrating my 49th birthday. That's really all I want for my birthday is for people to subscribe to my channel and help grow it because I am going to force myself to be more consistent and stop using my ADHD as an excuse, although it's not really an excuse because it's the truth. Some days I feel like it and some days I don't, and a lot of days I don't want to. I hope you had a good birthday. I really had a refreshing birthday. I'm off for the weekend. I actually was going to go into the office today for a client meeting, but I was like, I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. I'll let management handle that because my team and we did nothing wrong. This person just chooses to be belligerent on every end just to create chaos, which I think she personally enjoys, but that's just my opinion. Uh, anyway, what else is going on? So, let me wrap up my thoughts on Diddy and David, or David, or how D40, or whatever he pronounces his name. Let's talk about that real quick. So, if you go back and watch the last few videos, probably starting back in like October, whenever this crime drama dropped, David is some artist that apparently is obsessed with death, possibly which led him to unalive this young lady who was really a child when he started fooling around with her. I think she was still a child. I don't know. But either way, this is why I say sometimes maybe you shouldn't have high school starting in the 8th grade. That's just something to consider in and of itself. But either way, now we've been told that the grand jury has been convened and that they are likely going to drop an indictment on him, which, as we all know, well, not everybody knows this, but in law school, they teach us that a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich if they want to. And the reason why that's even said is because you're only getting one side of the story. You're not getting the defense side, you're only getting the prosecution side. And they can throw in whatever evidence, legitimate evidence that is, that can be sorted out later on, during pretrial, evidentiary hearings, determining what can come in, what cannot, that kind of thing. He's still under investigation, but I feel like he will get away with it. And you know what? The only reason I think he would get away with it is because the level of decomposition that young lady's body was already under, the cause of death can't really be determined. he probably strangled her to death or broke her neck or something. But there's no evidence to show that because once you start to decompose, you can't see if there's ligature marks, hand marks, nothing. But the point is that if anything, I believe, and one of my besties, let me see what she said because she's an actual prosecutor. Let me see what she said. One of my high school buddies that actually went all the way. Oh, whose birthday is it today? Oh, shoot. I gotta find. I hate this new Facebook when you're on your computer. Uh, because I think he's going to have to take a plea deal, if anything. And I think that plea deal is going to consist of manslaughter, uh, what is it, tampering with a corpse. Uh, I forgot how the term goes when you try to cover up a crime. Um, all of that. I can't find her comment, but yeah, I think that that's what possibly could happen. He may get convicted, may get a manslaughter charge, maybe get like 5 to 10 years, might even get a sentence that's, I don't know, suspended. But I'm like, I think we're looking at someone that could have the makings of a serial killer. He's also a sexual predator, just on the strength that he was messing around with an underage girl. Who may have actually held herself out to be older than what she was. And I don't know why men don't think to check ID. I don't know what that's about. But I'm gonna keep watching that story. Diddy, my final word on that, he ain't shit. Okay. When I heard that his alleged son, Justin, was part of a bathroom shooting incident at the studio,
Was that for me?
that Diddy, Alexa, I was not talking to you. Oh my God. That's
I'm designed to protect your privacy. On Echo devices, you'll always know when Alexa is listening to your request and sending it to Amazon's secure cloud. Just look for the blue light indicator or listen for an audio tone. Learn more by visiting amazon.com/Alexa privacy.
Thank you, Alexa.
Oh,
But
you just made my day.
so anyway, he, that type of thing that happens. Exactly. Uh, A and D are working together on something. I agree. So so anyway, the fact that how Craig Mack's life turned out. I mean, you think about all these artists. But I think one of the saddest revelations, and I don't know what episode that was in, was what was her name? She was on Making the Band, the first one, and she actually consulted with an attorney that told her you'll get the fame but not the money, and she was like, I want the fame. What was her name? Either way, I'm like, well, at least she knew. And I wonder sometimes if maybe that's what's happening. Maybe these people do get legitimate counsel that's not attached to the record label. Because number one, you're never going to want to deal with an attorney who represents the interest of the person whose contract you're signing. You never want to do that. You actually want to get a third party, another outside counsel to guide you that has no interest in what's going on with the business, but only has an interest in what's going on with you. What's her name? Bunny? No, I know her name. Then on top of that, that juror that they had, the young black woman, I almost hate to say it, but from appearances, I do not know this to be a fact, and I'm not stating it to be a fact, but it would seem to me that this woman may have been tampered with. Or maybe she really was just obsessed. Gene Deal talked about this. I love Gene. I love Gene Deal's storytelling. He's like the uncle that everyone wants to come to the cookout because he has these great Hollywood stories, kind of like Charlie Murphy. But when he talks about that, he's just like, when he talks about Diddy in general, it's just like he was a grimy dude and nobody really knew. And of course, no one's going to say anything because that's your employer. You know, some people have said that Gene Deal was complicit, but honestly, Gene Deal had gone his own way by the time Diddy started engaging in all the really low grime stuff. And think about it, the drug use that started after some incident happened, and he ended up getting addicted, to, like so many, to pain pills. Um, so where was I going with that, Lord? I'm still out of it. Y'all, I slept good today. I went on a nice long walk with one of my fur babies, because I only have one here. That's my Corso. And after that kind of passed, I was supposed to be redoing my pantry to line it so that stuff wouldn't get stuck, but either way that didn't happen. So we just slept and ended up watching. He is. He very much is slip and slide, okay? Um, but overall, Diddy just is not a good person. I know that there's a lot of childhood angst and trauma. It's hard when you were not accepted as a child because you were raised a certain way or given certain privileges, and children who were not given those privileges probably tease you. It also is sad when you grew up in a time when being true to yourself and staying in a closet um, was what you had to do to survive. And somebody else said it. One of my friends looked at me like I was crazy. I said, I've always held this theory about men who are violent to women. And I feel like, he is in fact part of the LGBTQ plus and is really fighting for his life not to be. And that also includes fighting women. Okay. And that's my theory on it. Anytime you have a man who is that violent and that manipulative when it comes to women, who feels like he has to control women. And also, another point that is made is that when you have something called, what's it called? It's PTSD, but it's a recessive form of it. Like you've compartmentalized it, and then all of a sudden, when it does come up, you reenact what happened to you, but you actually inflict that pain on others. So that's kind of also what he was doing, because when his mom kind of peeped that he was it, they didn't say it directly, but you can infer that once she figured out that, oh, he might be into boys, I got to beat him out of him. I got to beat the gay away. So that pretty much is Diddy. Again, he is exactly where he needs to be, and I'm gonna pray for those children. I just hope he didn't create little monsters to go out into the world and terrorize people. That's what I'm hoping for. So, um, especially those boys. Um, so here's what happened today. So I happened to put on my HBO app, and I see that there is a Real Housewives docuseries. Not Jen Shaw from Salt Lake City, but Mary Crosby. Now, if you remember the beginnings of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the marketing for it ahead of the first episode airing, the big hot topic was one of the housewives married her step grandfather because she alleges that her grandmother, when she died, wanted him to marry one of her girls because she knew that one of the girls would take care of him just as good as she had. Now, Mama, as Mary's grandmother was known, started this Pentecostal that is weird. It's beyond weird. Okay. But what happened back in the day, I don't remember. Oh, God. Let me see. Now I got to go Google it because I'm curious. All I know, I said, boy, a lot of black folk migrated out of, or great things came out of Indianapolis. That's all I can say. So her grandmother got this revelation that God was telling her to move her family and start a church in Salt Lake City. And they walked for the most part. And let's see, when did this church start? Mary Crosby's grandmother, Dr. Rosemary Redmond Crosby, Cosby. It's Cosby, Lord help. Founded the Faith Temple Pentecostal Church in Salt Lake City in 1968, with Mary later taking over as first lady alongside her husband, Robert Cosby Sr., after a family dispute and her grandmother's death. So, when she did that, there was a time, because let's be real, Salt Lake City is saturated in Mormon faith, right? So she started this church. In addition to the church, she started businesses, soul food kitchens, hair salon, because there was a 1% population of black people that were not being serviced. There was a lack and therefore an opportunity, right? Hey, so that opportunity, she grew this church. She didn't care about color. But of course, in Salt Lake City, for the most part, now I've heard different stories, but like I tell people, the Mormons that I personally know and the ones that have looked, because I worked under an attorney. Oh, he was the sweetest old man when I was at this firm before even going to law school. And you watched the documentary. Was it good? I did watch the Mary Cosby documentary. I wouldn't say she's running a cult. That's a bit extreme. But what I will say is that she's using the church as a place to abuse people for her own amusement. I will say that. Now, you can say that it becomes cult like if you allow yourself to be used and abused like that. Uh, you know, ain't no way I'm gonna stay at a church where you all up in my personal business all the time. Did I not put my hat on right, y'all? Oh, Lord. No wonder I look crazy today. Do y'all think LeBron was at the... Okay, somebody brought back up the D man, because we have to say D because my Amazon thing decides it wants to talk whenever I say his name. Do I think he was there? I think a lot of celebrities were at the party, like so many others, like Oprah. But what I don't see, that's what I don't like is if you pay attention to the internet, the big conclusion they jump to every time is, oh my God, Oprah was at the party. Okay, yeah, she was at the white party. She was in the Hamptons. But there is something called the after set. And that's what people don't tend to understand. There's the post party, which can be a kickback, laid back, or you could end up on your back, okay, with somebody, sandwiching you down. I'm just saying, like a panini press. I'm just saying, you could end up, you know, yeah, that after party is when it gets freaky. So I don't know if LeBron was there. He doesn't strike me as that type of guy, but I don't know him personally. Um, you know, who knows who was there? We may never know. Because honestly, that case was horrible. Okay. The U.S. did not do a good job presenting that case. And I think the biggest thing with that case is the fact that if you tell me that we got racketeering charges, where are the other parties? Because you have someone that is at the center running everything. Like if you pay attention to the mob cases, Uh, it absolutely was a message to him. Absolutely. He had, anytime some stuff come up like that, you gotta know that somebody is not doing what they've been told to do. They trying to color outside the lines. Now they gotta get you to toe the line. I don't know that to be gospel or fact, but if you watch every time something happens, that's what happens. Um, But it was a poor case. Like, where are the other co-conspirators? Have they taken plea deals? Are they going to testify against him? You know what else was disgusting? Now that I think about it, we're going to get back to Mary Cosby. But so that dude that was the escort that him and Cassie used, I'm like, bruh, for real? Like, you couldn't fix yourself up to look better because, honey, you look like a turtle shooting through a damn rock. I mean, I don't know what scooter he got, a scooter tooter. That's what he looked like to me. I don't know that man, but I'm like, you were a gigolo, a paid professional. It had to have been he had to have been swinging. Okay, it must have came down to his knee. I mean, I just that's the only thing. I mean, I can't look at that. You know, that's some scary stuff to look at. Oh my God! Why does oh God? What does my boyfriend say that all the time? He's been rolled hard and put up wet. Oh Jesus! So yeah, that that dude, I was like, bruh, you want us to believe that? You know what else I don't believe that happened since I've been gone from being on YouTube live? And I'm gonna get back to Mary. I promise y'all I'm gonna get back to Mary. But Tamar Braxton, I know this is old news, but her Funky Dineva just let loose. And I was watching the live the day he went all the way off on her ass, which she needs it. So she was trying to use Funky Dineva basically as a beard to cover up her indiscretions with her so-called friends. Uh, what was it called? Commitment husband, because they weren't even legally married. Andy never filed the proper papers to make Mendices her legitimate spouse. Okay. I said, hell, you better be glad you weren't in California because he could be a pituitative spouse and he could take half. That's all I'm going to say. Because if someone is led to believe that they are married to you, and in this sense, y'all went through a whole ceremony with a marriage license and you failed to file, pituitative spouse. Duly note that. So, anyways, as it turns out, she was messing around with that lady's husband. And he just let loose and let God. Okay, I said, Lord help. But they say she's like that. And my thing with Tamar is she is one of my least favorite people in Hollywood next to the Kardashians. Okay. Um, I really feel sorry for her family who is tortured by having to deal with her all the time just because she is family. My whole litmus test, and this comes from watching Queen Sugar when Cree Summer was a guest, and she said, would you be friends with these people if they weren't your relatives? That's the litmus test for you. Would you be friends with these people if they weren't your relatives? Honestly, that's why Tony pretty much tries to keep herself separated from the family. God rest Tracy's soul. You know, that's why she didn't even want Tamar to know she was dying. And didn't want her around. I was like, yeah, you want to die in peace, you know, because she treated her sister like crap while she was here on Earth. But I'm glad that, you know, Funky Dineva cleared the room on her. Um, you know, you mess around with that lady man, and that's your friend. But okay. Don't know if it's true or factual, but it leads. I don't think Funky would lie about something like that. I've been following him a long time. Q, Quentin Latham. I don't think he would lie about something like that. So, you know, there's that. But let's get back into Mary Cosby, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the pastor of a church that she basically. First of all, here's what a lot of people didn't know. And I'm sure she never shared this on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. She had been, what is it, defellowship, excommunicated from the church at the time of her grandmother's passing because she was always doing stuff. Just out here bad, flapping in the wind, doing her own thing. And grandma got enough of it. And she said, you know what, don't come back to the church. Or when they say you're excommunicated from the church or defellowshipped or however it's pronounced, that just means that you can come to church. You just can't participate or be in any type of leadership role. You're a pew rider. Okay. So, anyways, Mary, some kind of way, her sister was saying that some kind of way Mary ended up with Gramps. That's what they call him, with Gramps. Now, mind you, when her grandmother married him, he was 22, and I guess grandma was like in her 40s or something. And not only that, uh, Mary was 3. So pretty much this is the only grandfather you've ever known. And now you up here marrying him and seducing him after your grandmother died because all you care about is money. Her whole family said that's the whole thing. It's a money game. That's why she went after her grandmother's husband, is because she wanted all the wealth that her grandmother had accumulated with these businesses in order to support the church. Because sometimes the church just cannot be solely sustained by the membership. But unfortunately, as you will see in a lot of family dynamics, you will see where, how's she gonna be that desperate? She just was. They said she was just like, I don't think anything even happened to her. Like, based upon what I know, her from what they've shared, there was no childhood trauma. She was just born that way. She just, materialistic. Uh, that's why Junior is going through it. Bless his heart. Um, but they say it's cult like now. They said that the whole thing, the church ended up splitting. Mary's mother showed up one Sunday and basically said, "This is not a God, and I don't want to be part of this mess." My mama never intended or said anything like that about him having to marry one of his girls. He never said that. And then Mary told me, "My mama just wanted the church." No, your mama wanted you to do the right thing and not be up here and be a hussy and a Jezebel. Okay, that's what she wanted for you. So it's a mess. They purposely interfere with people's marriages. Now, that's something that a cult leader will do. They will try to separate couples and break up couples. They even, here's the other thing, too. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, none of us have a problem when you are a member of a church. I do not see as a problem, to go over and help out pastor and wife, when they need help. Okay. It's okay to go over there, drop off some food, maybe clean up, especially if, but that ain't happening. They are using parishioners from the church to work in their home with no pay. Although they try to say they're volunteers. There was one lady that said her sister was verbally abused so bad that there were times that she would say things like, "I wish I could go to sleep and not wake up." 80 years old. At age 81, this woman died. And then because the sister, okay, there was a brother too. And the brother was just giving, that's the other thing. They want you to give as much money as you can. They would tally up how much money you got. To me, I'm like, shit, that's just you, strong arming people at the church. God didn't ask for that. And the other thing is that kills me is, to this day, people still subscribe to Malachi, give 10%. But the New Testament also teaches that God loves a cheerful giver. So I personally subscribe to the philosophy of you give what's on your heart. And I'm going to tell you, if you do, you'll probably be more blessed for it than having to give the strong arm. But that's just my opinion. And I grew up in the church. I grew up as a PK. That's why I tell people I've seen a lot. So anything that happens in the church, it don't surprise me. But they're doing that. And so the sister, it was 2 sisters and a brother that were members of this church. And the younger sister tried to tell the brother that he needs to stop giving all his money away because you're going to end up completely broke. Like, you just can't keep doing this. Well, they caught wind that she had said something and they kicked her out the church too. They kicked her out the church to the point to where When her sister died at 81, she couldn't even come to the funeral. That is not of God. That is not of love. That is flesh. Not to mention, don't be trying to go do extracurricular activities. I've experienced this too, where you'll have ministers get upset if you try to go do something as a group and then, like, well, what y'all gonna put in the offering plate? And what else killed me in this documentary about her? So there was a young man, Cameron Williams, I believe that was his name, if I recall it correctly. Goldman Sachs, made a lot of money, had saved 3 years worth of tithes because he was looking for a church home. Ended up going to the Pentecostal church that Mary and her husband were running. Now, they never said it, but I guess he gave like $300,000 or something. I think that's what his initial tithing was because he had saved all of this money until he got a church. I said, wow, I should do that because I still haven't had a church home. I used to set aside, I always gave my offering, and it seemed like actually I was financially better too. Maybe we'll look into that. But either way, he ended up becoming like a confidant to Mary, and some stuff happened. He finally kind of came out and told, like, I think it was her cousin or her uncle or somebody what happened between them. He ultimately ended up writing us check for like $300,000. Maybe that's where it went, and left the church. But low key, people kind of thought that she was having an affair with him, which would not shock me. Because, I mean, you are scoring your grandpa, and y'all got a 20-year age gap, and who knows, by 70, I don't know how old Robert Jr. Sr. is, but how old he is, maybe he ain't functioning properly. So, either way, he kind of told what happened, but ultimately died. He had a tumor, a brain tumor, and had surgery and had died from complications of that surgery. Of course, you know what Mary said. Mary said that he died because he lied on her. Ma'am, okay. Not to mention, they lost a niece, and the niece died in a car crash. She went off a bridge in the highway and went flying out head first out of the car, was ejected, and died. And she said, should have worn a seatbelt, and laughed about it. Apparently, this was on Housewives. And I'm like, who does that as a minister or as a leader? You don't talk about your niece like that. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? But her need for materialism and wealth, and then people like that, you kind of wonder, well, shit, I'm out here struggling, trying to work a legitimate job and not take advantage of people. And yet these people are winning. And one of my besties told me today, who's like a big sister to me, she said, honestly, because we have a conscience. People like that just don't have a conscience. She told that story on TV to children, I believe. Yep. But I think she was also talking to some of the housewives because she was like in a kitchen setting and she was like, oh my God, this is what happened. And they showed the clip in the documentary. And so, needless to say, the church has been split in half because her mama came through there like a wrecking ball and wreck shop. And I'm like, it's really hard to find a church home. And once you get established there, and then for the founding pastor to die, and then for you to have this secession where your husband, your widow, and your granddaughter take over the church and start running it like it's their own personal outfit. Kind of like that man that's down there on Pennsylvania Avenue in DC, how he took over the people's house. Yeah, that's how they did it. Just gang bang, bang bang bang. Pew pew pew. We taking over. We want all your money, you know. And you ain't living right. We gonna separate you from your husband and try to break up your marriage. Okay, that's kind of shit that's been going on in this church. I don't know how anybody's still there. I don't know. And then for you to get up and tell people, oh, y'all don't love me. Y'all didn't get me no birthday gift or nothing. You mad about that? Jesus. I said, these false prophets these days, you really got to wonder. You really got to wonder. They said she came back on season 5 of The Housewives and act like nothing had happened. Because I think she made season 1 and 2. And then in season 3, she kind of wasn't there. Season 4, she was there, but was a friend of the show. And then she came back as a full-fledged cast member and tried to act like nothing happened. Which, of course, is what a lot of people do when they get caught up in some BS. You just keep on moving in life like nothing ever happened. Then, let's see what else happened. Jody Hildebrand and Ruby Frankie. Now, y'all know this is the people out here in Salt Lake City or in Utah, St. George County, that was out here just, abusing children. And Jody was breaking up families, okay, because she had her own problems with her own sexuality and alleged childhood traumas, okay. I was thinking to myself, I was like, how gullible were you people? Y'all were paying this woman $2,000 a session. One lady said at one point they were paying her more than what their mortgage was. And y'all, when I saw some of these Mormon people houses, I was like, oh my God, like how y'all afford these houses? But one of the things the church teaches is stay debt free. So I know that much. I was like, but what kind of jobs y'all got where y'all can afford to stay debt free? Because, honey, I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. I done stole from I done robbed from a damn 401k at every company I've been at. So shit, I ain't got shit to show for. What y'all be really doing over there? Um, but Jody Hildebrand, if y'all remember, her and Ruby Frank got convicted for child abuse for abusing Ruby Frank's children. And what happened in that scenario is that Jody finds a way to weasel her way into your family and break it up. Like, what therapist do you know is going to move into your damn house and just kind of take over and tell your husband he got to leave? You know why your husband got to leave? Because she wants your cookie. That's what it is. I said, if you look at Jody, she oozes of lesbiana, okay? She just does. I'm just like, that's what's wrong with her. She wants a woman, but because the church teaches them that being gay is wrong, she can't act on it. So she finds a way to manipulate situations to benefit her. And that's what she was doing. And Ruby Frank, now whether she was being sincere or not, once she got out of the situation when one of her sons was managed to break free and go get help, after she was separated from Jody, she realized, hell, I done messed up my whole life listening to this crazy lady. Uh, yeah. But it's sad that it took you getting arrested to realize that her older children, they don't have nothing to do with her. And then come to find out, Jody was married, okay, at one point in her life. I think she has 2 children. I think they grown and gone. And they don't mess with her either. They're estranged from her. And then one of the ladies, when she found this out in a session or some conversation they were having, she was like, well, how the hell are you going to keep our family together? You don't even deal with your family. I was like, that should have been your sign to leave in. This person should not be helping you. Okay? It's one thing if you went through the breakup and separation of your family and then y'all all back together, but the fact that this is still dysfunctional, I don't think this is a person that should be counseling you, but some kind of way, the elders at what is it called? LDS, Latter day Saints says it, LDS, had her on the list. And she was a legitimate psychologist, but she kind of just created her own methods that were not even ethical. Okay. And these people, when I hear all these people who have gotten divorces, who, and that's the other thing, she fixated on porn. She's told them people, if you watch porn once in a year, you have an addiction. No, baby, if you watch porn once a day, all day, every day, that's an addiction. Sometimes you just need a little help from your friends online. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But that's what she was teaching. But unfortunately, the other thing that is in the Mormon faith, it's almost like, what's the people? Amish? Is it the Amish? They live like this very insular life where you don't know what you don't know until you get out into the mad real world and experience it. It's like they're in a nucleus. And so that's how she was able to manipulate all these people. But baby, she exactly where she need to be. Then she been in the jail reading scripture, talking about it's everything that's in this. It was meant for me to go to prison so I can spread the gospel. I was like, oh Lord, please put her in solitary because we don't need nobody else coming out of prison corrupt and brainwashed by this lady. Okay, don't listen to her. Okay, people in prison. And she just, she really thinks that this is where she's supposed to be. Okay. But okay, you are where you're supposed to be. You're right about that. But to spread the gospel of lies and to twist the word of God, you're going to have to answer for that, sis. I mean, Ruby, yeah, you're right. Ruby Frank's husband was like, baby, I'm out. I don't know if did he get a new wife? Because I know he filed for divorce. And I know they will marry quick, hell, but some of them, I'm like, y'all might need to be alone. Because looking at some of these men, I'm like, you might not be addicted to porn, but you got something else you like. Just like that D man. Living your truth, baby. Living your truth. Because it ain't going, you going to suffer your whole life. Just living your truth. What else? Nicki Minaj. And this will probably be the final topic of the night. Um, First of all, let me just say this. I have never been a fan of Nicki Minaj. Never. I listen to some of her music, like just because she collaborated with certain artists that I like Chris Brown. I think The Pink Print was a great album. But I always felt like something was off with her. And I could never understand how people never saw it. She has what's the name of her? What's the name of her clique? I'm part of the Bay Half, but what is her people? I forgot what they call. Um, why can't I think of what Nicki? The Barbs. Thank you. But the Barbs have been awfully silent. And one of my dear, dear best friends, she loves Nicki Minaj. She used to always provide these defense claims saying that, oh, they've been poking at her all this time, and she don't say nothing unless she actually has to say it. And I'm just like, you really? And that may be true because I don't follow enough to know. So I said, okay, well, maybe that is it. But you having these crash outs, and it sounds like, first of all, they are drug-induced crash out or even possibly just the neurosis that has developed from drug usage. I don't know, but Cardi B clocked it. And so, anyway, now she's gone from talking bad about Angry Wig on Pennsylvania Avenue to now saying that he is the best and she worships at his feet. Now, let me say this. One of the things that my friend brought up that I had forgotten about, a lot of Caribbean people do not like homosexuals and trans. So that would explain, because her family's from Trinidad. I mean, it's bad. And I thought about it too. I said, because usually in those cultures, you'll see the excommunication. I mean, it's just bad. I mean, just think about even in Africa, why people have to hide, what their preferences are. And so anyway, there's that. But then I was watching a video with Dr. Umar the other day. I know, Dr. Umar, where's the school? But he was saying that there is some sort of alliance that has been formed between Angry Wig's administration and the Prime Minister of Trinidad's and Tobago's Prime Minister, right? And that he believes that they are possibly leveraging Nicki Minaj. Oh, somebody said, yeah, some countries I know, like in the Arab countries, but I've totally forgotten, spaced out, because it's not like I didn't know, but it's kind of like something kind of compartmentalize and think, well, maybe they've progressed. But yeah, I know in like the Arab countries, yeah, but yeah, I forgot about Caribbean and especially in Africa too. So I don't know if there's any truth, but now all of a sudden she done popped out with Erica Kirk, Turning Point USA. What is it called? TPUS, USA, TP, TPS, whatever it's called. And she like thinks she's saying something profound, talking about it's okay to be a boy. And I'm just like, oh, and then she's like, that's profound. I was like, no, no, it's just okay to be you. Just, I'm like, half of these, the 90, actually 98% of those people don't even know your music. But then too, a lot of them might secretly be listening to rap and hip hop and just don't share that they do. I don't know. Then she attacked Gavin Newsom. Now look, Gavin used to be my governor. Uh, for being the governor of trans kids and, encouraging all of this. But I'm like, lady, your proximity to sexual predators is mind blowing. And people kept saying online, oh, she's just trying to get a pardon. She's trying to get a pardon. I'm like, how is she going to get a pardon? Those cases are state based, not federal. He has no power. And although the Constitution seems to be crumbling before our very eyes, the state still holds strong. Everything that can be handled state-wise is delegated down by the 10th Amendment. We run our own thing when it comes to those type of cases. So unless those crimes were committed in Texas or somewhere down south in Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, ain't no governor gonna give you a pardon, because no. Your brother, I said, what broke you as a child? For you to think that, hanging out with people that thought Epstein was the second coming of Christ in some respects for their own, it's generational at this point. Yeah, it is. Um, but it's very unfortunate. Like Dr. Umar said, he said at this point, I don't even know if she identifies as a black woman. For you to tell black women to stop making white women feel bad. I was like, what kind of psychological twist of the words is going on here? Because it's them that come for us most of the time. We don't be sitting around ragging on no blonde hair, blue eyed woman. That's just the standard that they fed you. I said it was Roman. That's the other thing. I said, honestly, if y'all want to be real about it, she does kind of have a dissociative disorder. She's Sybil. Because a couple of months, because a year ago, you were talking about what a horrible man Angry Wig was, but then you let him use your song in ICE campaigns. And people were really shocked. And I said, y'all must have not caught that. She's been on the Angry Wig train for a minute. Like her showing up at Turning Point and praising him. She's been on his tip for a while. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. But she's also a weirdo anyway, and has always been a weirdo. And she comes out and keyboard gangsters on Twitter and has these cokehead blowout moments is what people are, and people's like, it has to be cocaine, and yeah, it probably is. I don't know what that lady be on. But you've got this man that is costing you money. You have a home that you refuse to, no, you have a lawsuit that you refuse to pay because you don't think you should have to pay. So you would much rather lose your home, which you say you can afford to buy another one, but then we got to wonder about your money. A lot of these superstars, we always wonder, is it the money? Like, and I always come back with, what does it cost a man to gain the world but lose their soul? You know, and don't get me wrong, 50 Cent, he ain't right either. And it ain't about the documentary. He has been booed up with MAGA people because, like, he endorsed what, the Louisiana governor. Why? Because he wanted to build a film studio out there. Capitalism at the end of the day. That's right. He, when Angry Wig got elected this second time around, he was like, I'm leaving here with a winner. Then you had people like Nelly, Rick Ross, Snoop Dogg, Soldier Boy going to a cryptocurrency ball sponsored by people that endorse him. And y'all try to argue that it was not, we were just there for crypto. Okay, Snoop. And Snoop pissed me off and broke my heart because Snoop Dogg, and this is weird, but it could just be the ADHD. But one of the things I noticed even before I was diagnosed, there are three, well, actually two, and then ultimately became three in the post-divorce era for Usher. But I could always listen to Snoop Dogg, and I could always listen to Mozart. And then later on, I can listen to Usher's Raymond versus Raymer. I have to have my headphones in and I listen, I zone out, and I get so much work done. And I also, if I'm studying for something, I can memorize stuff better. It's weird, but it works. So, yes, I still listen to Snoop Dogg. I just don't follow him on social media because he broke my heart. Who else is in MAGA country? That and the thing about it is that a large quantity of black men co-sign his stuff. And I'm not talking about a huge populace, but the numbers are great enough for you to be alarmed. And then with all the Epstein stuff coming out and all these different people, someone's even trying to implicate one of my favorite businessmen, Sir Richard Branson. I don't know how true this woman's story is, but she was saying that Ghislaine and him approached her when she was like in college, and she believed that she was going to be sex trafficked. I don't know how true that story is. I pray to God it's not, because I'm going to be like, Richard! So disappointing. And then she was like, and then people were like, well, his mama had a children foundation or something. I was like, she did not have a children's foundation. She was a board member. And if that's what y'all trying to imply, that she was trafficking kids, I mean, that means the whole foundation had to be complicit in it. Anyway, that's all I got. Oh, okay, final thought, 50 Cent. I don't know why people are mad at him. I mean, I get why they mad because they feel like, but honestly, 50 Cent, I think, did nothing more than bankroll it. Because if you pay attention to the documentary, it was very well produced, constructed, and I personally don't think there were any biases other than if we had had a group of people that supported him. Like Kaylina, for instance, who finally, I think, sees the light that Diddy is not your friend. Um, but Marlon Wayans, I was trying to figure out. I said, did he tickle your prostate to the points where you lost your mind, Marlon? I'm so glad that Damon Wayans stepped in and was like, look, you need to pick on people we can actually fight. Okay, because no, leave 50 Cent alone. And I was trying to figure out what was the end game with that. I'm like, are you that in love with him? And let me just say this. What's weird is that out of all of the Wayans, he was always the one that I always got a bad vibe from. And I never cared for him. And I don't know why. And now maybe this is why, because he's just weird. Like, dude, why are you over here fighting for your life? For, or what? Why? Is he the youngest? No, I think Sean is the youngest, the DJ. I thought Sean was, but he's next to the youngest. But I mean, he was just having major crash outs online. I don't know. It's just something about him that just never sat right with me. Now, don't get me wrong. I like White Chicks. That's one of my favorite movies, but I don't. hmm But yeah, he was just crashing out, and then everybody talking about 50 Cent just trying to tear down another brother. I'm like, Diddy did it to himself. He tore himself down a long time ago. People just were afraid to speak up and say anything. I don't know why y'all mad. I was like, hell, people have done documentaries on him ever since the charges came up. TMZ has done several. Uh-oh, your message was deleted by YouTube. Yeah, because I didn't even get that notice that says hidden. So I don't know. Maybe reconstruct it without whatever it was that they find quote unquote offensive. They always looking for something. But I'm like, so y'all want to get mad at him for doing something that others have done because he's tearing down a black man. A black man who was not for the community, even though he wanted you to believe that he was down with the community. When he was robbing the community, pillaging from the community, killing spirits, taking lives, and not in the literal sense. I'm talking, and that's what I was trying to explain to somebody. Somebody was like, damn, they trying to make him out to be a serial killer. I said, in some respects, he is. I said, because you can kill, the power of life and death lies in the tongue, right? You can kill somebody with your words. You can kill people, spirits, with your actions towards them. I think he should be in prison. He's exactly where he needs to be. Do I think it will reform or change him? No. People like that are incorrigible. They are who they are, and they're going to be who they're going to be. But blaming 50 Cent and trying to, berate him for putting together a great think piece, that's wrong. If anything, y'all should be out here tomorrow. When are they going to do? And here's my thing. Epstein got him. I mean, have y'all ever watched that series? Is it called Dirty Money? I think there's a series where they focus on all the different schemes that have come out in the financial world, where all these people, majority white, had these Ponzi schemes, robbing, stealing from all these vulnerable communities and people. Even that documentary with cops surveying him, he was still trying to get out of it. Yeah, yeah. He's evil, and he has no intent to change. But for the people sitting around saying, oh, he just trying to tear down a black man. I'm like, do you know how stupid you sound? Get your IQ up. Oh, I said that was going to be my last one. Talk about Negro now. Okay. I don't know these people names right off. I just know watch he get out and go to church. You know he is. Um. Oh. So have y'all heard the story of the minister that was unalived by his wife allegedly in front of his children, of their children? Dequarius and just remember Pastor Dequarius. Would you rather be on Epstein Island or the Diddy after party? I think I could get away with some shit on Epstein Island if it came down to it, but personally, I have no interest in being on either. I don't have FOMO when it comes to that, fear of missing out. There's a few, child. Yeah. But this one happened in Alabama. He had a few domestic violence claims against him that were dropped because, of course, we know when the cycle of abuse They will love bomb the woman and convince them that they're going to do better. And then the case gets dropped. And that's what happened. But one night he came home, I guess to get some more stuff, and she unalived him because he was trying to attack her. She is currently not under arrest. However, his best friend, side piece, I don't know who she was, got on Beyonce's internet telling this long 1 hour story, which I only got through probably 5 minutes of it because I said, oh no, this heifer ignorant. Because as soon as she mispronounced PTSD, I was done. Talking about he didn't do that. He gave, and then she accused the woman, the wife, of giving him or trying to give him genital herpes, and she had herpes on her leg. I was like, I ain't never heard of it being on your leg. If anything, that's a mosquito bite, or what's that stuff called that you get sometimes? Sometimes it's diabetes causes it, but it can also be brought on by stress because I had it happen to me and I ended up having to go on steroids. Uh Print, she said PSDS. Hives, yeah, hives, that type of stuff. So I was like, what? So she said she been busting wide for a long time because she talking about she got childhood traumas and PSDS or something like that. And I was like, PTSD. And she talking about she ain't been in no military. And I was like, this heifer ignorant. Baby, let me tell y'all something. If you don't know, please Google it because you might not believe this. But get into this. You can have PTSD and not have served in the military, not have been in combat. If you've had trauma, there is a post effect of having that trauma. And therefore, it is PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. And sometimes you got wait a minute, post traumatic stress syndrome. But ignorant people don't know that. They just hop on Beyonce's internet and start saying anything. And that's when I logged off. But I was like, whether it's true. And then another lady on Instagram commented and said that the children were actually not there, that she had sent those children to her mom's house, to their grandma's house, and she intentionally killed him. And I'm like, why would the police report that the children were there? I don't know what's going on, but they said everybody know in the community that she ain't shit, basically. And I was like, here we go. As long as she wasn't reporting seeing a small child out on the freeway and faking her own disappearance in Alabama, I think we're okay. It's always women defending H. Well, also, that's the other thing that when you think about church, too, that some people are so in love with their pastor that even if they saw him on live TV murder someone in cold blood, not my pastor. My pastor would never. They set him up. No, my pastor was possessed by a demon. Baby, he's still a man. It's the devil. Yeah, because they just don't want to believe that someone who presents themselves as a man of the cloth that is all for good is a good person. They don't want to believe that they're evil and that they do bad. All have sinned and fallen short. And that's why you can tell a lot of people don't read their Bibles. Just like I was trying to explain to my friends why I thought that the dress that First Lady Jamal Bryant's wife, who is one of my sorors, was wearing, flesh colored or not, it was still inappropriate, in my opinion. And this is just my opinion. If you are to present yourself as a woman of God, of a church that's leading the church. And then, of course, Pastor Jamal Bryant defended her, but that's what you do for your woman. But the second, this is the latest one. They just got married, what, last year? She's really cute and the dress is fabulous. But I personally, if I was a first lady, it wouldn't have been my first choice to wear. Then too, maybe I'm just old school, and I think that sometimes some of my friends forget how I was raised. Oh, she's an AKA like Giselle. Of course, honey, first and finest. But Giselle doesn't represent the true nature of what all of us are. Nor does Wendy, because most of us would not be out doing stealing. Lord help us. Um, but that dress, you know, here I go. I could talk another hour, but I'm gonna get off. Pam all no, yeah, Pam Al Oliver. And what's the husband name? Hennessy. See, I did research on them after that case came out, and there's nothing wrong with it because all of us, like right now, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to fix my credit because, being unemployed for over a year, everything came crashing down, especially the last 6 months. And let me tell you something, these credit card companies, they don't give a fuck. If you have not faced a major disaster or been on furlough for a job, they don't care. You better not get a CPN. I remember I dated a dude that was trying to give me. I said, that shit don't seem right. I ain't doing that, honey. I got to protect my integrity. But, one of my friends said, well, I said, it invites temptation. Well, if it was already in his heart, okay, that's great. But you just never know what somebody, in other words, what I'm saying is this. In my opinion, it was inappropriate. Some people don't think so. I do. Now, what I do find appropriate, and I was mad that people were berating her, was what's her name? Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, who's this psychologist. She had on a dress at the Jeezy concert that I was like, God damn, I need to go get in the gym. She looked good, you know. But I'm like, she's not a pastor's wife, and she's not, holding herself out to be holier than thou. She's a psychologist. She's not like talking about she out here telling people to do this. I'm like, but she didn't tell nobody how to dress. So y'all should be telling her how to dress. Now that is the one Bryant that I will say was dressed for however she should feel. Okay. So, anyways, I'm just saying that's my opinion. If you are upset with me for having that opinion, just like my cousin said, my cousin was like, maybe not for a first lady, but I sure the hell would rock it. I said, girl, me too. I would have been rocking a dress, especially if I get my body back together. So, I just don't want to have to go on GLP-1s because I don't want to have the sagging face. Okay. Anyway, y'all, that's all I got. Ain't got no more. This has gone on for 67 minutes. I thank you all who did join the conver. Say that black dress was giving Jezebel. Exactly. I'm like, but good night. I'll be back on more consistently. Maybe Sunday night so we can get our Mondays right in this new year. Happy New Year to all. Again, please tell your friends, share the link, subscribe, because that is what I want. And I do celebrate my birthday the entire month. So please subscribe and tell others to subscribe. I got about 490 some plus to go before I can get paid again. Good night.